Hi everyone, this is The Last Angry Geek, and we're going to take a look at the first ever video I did for the website called True Internet Story Number 1, The Nostalgia Critic. Now, a lot of people over the years have asked me how I got involved with the website. Well, it was basically knowing the right people. I met Rob Walker at an event called Anime Night hosted by our mutual friend James. James, you remember, played the kind of stoner dude who lived in the basement for Suburban Nights. And every Wednesday night or so, he would show anime episodes. And this is where I first met Rob. And basically, when it came down to it, there were two people who did an awful lot of, riffing at Anime Night, making fun of what was on the screen. And that was him and me, and we kind of bonded over that. And at Anime Night, he told us about his brother was having problems with YouTube over something called his 5-second movies, and this was Doug. And through Rob, I met Doug, and I guess they were impressed by my sense of humor. They asked me to start writing for the site, reviewing comic books. They asked a couple of their friends to write for the website. I think I was the only one who really took them up on it. And the website took off. Linkara came on and became the first video comic book reviewer, and I kind of knew that's what I wanted to do as well, so eventually I got a camera and jumped on there. And I knew I wanted to do comic book issues, but I thought first off, well, I got this sense of humor. We've done this riff tracks. We did several of those together, so I wanted to kind of showcase my sense of humor first, and that became True Internet Story. I thought I wanted to do like the True Hollywood Story. It's basically a ripoff of that, where we look at the celebrities on the website and kind of look at their fictitious history. I mean, you see right here, you got these black and white photos that are very badly doctored. I almost have a hard time watching this now because I've learned so much with my editing techniques that going back and looking at this older show, it's kind of embarrassing to me at some points because it really would be a lot more tightly edited. I've learned how to tweak the video to make it look better. Basically, back then I was just plugging the video in, chopping away and sticking it together. That's really all I did. So it's kind of primitive, I admit that, but I did have a lot of fun working on this.
He was a representative of the George W. Bush administration.
Rob and Doug have always been very good to me, so they were very supportive when I came to them with this idea and said, I want to do the fictitious history of the Nostalgia Critic. Because it seems like, he plays three separate characters. He plays the bum, he plays that guy with the glasses, and he plays the Nostalgia Critic. And I'm like, well, since they're separate people, they should have their own origin stories, I kind of felt. I guess that's me as a comic book fan. I like, origin stories.
But what no one could know was that the Nostalgia...
This is actually filmed across the street from my house. My good friend Dave, whom you've seen in my show before, and he was also in Suburban Nights as Cat, was the cameraman for this.
Revenge of a social misfit?
I like this gag here, running out of room, because you always see these supposed serious investigative journalists walking when they're talking to you on camera, so I thought, well, what happens if they walked somewhere and they ran out of room? They'd have to go back and start again to keep up the walking motion. And that gag got a lot of good reviews. A lot of people said, oh, that's funny. And, that's good. So coming up now, here's Bargo. Bargo, in my mind, is the funniest man on the site. I never don't laugh when I see him in one of Doug's videos. I just had this idea that he was going to come in, but the door would be locked, so he'd be like, well, what's going on here? Aren't I supposed to have an interview today?
Thank you for meeting with us.
And this was filmed at Rob and Doug's old house. But this, actually, I screwed up. This shows what an amateur I was. I filmed all of Bargo's interview, but then I get home and I realize I hadn't filmed any shots of me talking to him. So the shots you see of me are done in my dining room, but the shots of Bargo are done in Rob and Doug's house. The character of Herlido is basically an idiot. I mean, it's Geraldo with the word lie stuck in the middle. And I love this idea that he just can't pronounce Bargo's full name. It's Bargov Drummond-Raju, but he just can't say it. So he finally gets frustrated and just said, oh, this witness was worthless, just because he couldn't introduce him properly. I mean, the man's a moron. Hopefully that came across.
Bargov.
This was the one shot we shot together. I felt like such an idiot when I got home and looked at all this footage and realized I didn't have my reaction shots or my shots of me asking him questions. So I very carefully staged it so you didn't see any of the wallpaper in my dining room. Now this, again, Bargo had to come over to shoot this scene with me. And this was because we filmed this at Rob's and Doug's house, but Rob was the cameraman acting for that, but it was too windy out. And when I got home and listened to the footage, the wind was blowing on the microphone. You couldn't make out what we were saying, so I had to ask him to come over and reshoot this scene. Now, originally there was a scene where Bargov then chases me, but I kind of felt it interrupted the pacing of the joke, the whole man working for change, and then we cut to Chester A. Bum. Change! You know, so...
Hey, all right.
Now, again, this is the dining room. This is just me sitting on the other side of my dining room, so you don't see our cabinet full of our chintz and plates and what have you. And I just like the idea that the bum isn't reviewing movies for the money he's given. He's just reviewing the movies because he feels he needs to give back to the community. And the whole line about the dime, that is taken from UHF, obviously, because I always felt that Chester A. Bum owed a lot to that bum from UHF. But Doug has always denied that that was the case, that he based it on that character. But I just felt they were very similar, the way they talked. And so the whole basic idea of this story is that Herlito's got a grudge because he pitched a show and it was turned down, so he's trying to do a smear campaign on the critic. And then, of course, he tries to use Chester A. Bum against the critic, but it goes terribly, terribly wrong when the critic is revealed to be a nice human being and the bum wasn't forced to review Starsky and Hutch. I needed a really bad movie, and let's face it, Ben Stiller has done some really bad movies. Again, a special thanks to Bargov. He installed my editing software for me, and he was the one who showed me how to do this digitizing effect, because I wanted to digitize Chester's face so you didn't know who he was, but obviously you did know who he was. And so he came and helped me with that. There's Rob. He pulled me off. That was his one cameo. Like I said, he did do the camera work from when we did the outside footage, but I had to replace that camera work, but I still credited him in the credits as one of the cameramen.
How does that make you feel, America?
And I'm not sure why we had the green screen. I think we were just covering up the back of Doug's wall because it was kind of... This was his cruddy little basement and was kind of falling apart. This is actually where we filmed the Bjork show and where we would come to film True Internet Story number 2, where we revisit the Bjork show. But I'll be talking about that real soon. You're going to see the commentary track for True Internet Story number 2 up in about 2 weeks.
Thank you for joining us.
People have asked me, am I going to do True Internet Story number 3? Well, I'll discuss that on the next commentary. This is my brother's room. He doesn't live with us anymore. He's moved out and gotten married. I have not. But,
truth is something no one can learn.
So this was my first experience. A lot of people said they liked it. A lot of people thought it was funny. It was a big hit for me, and I thank you, the fans, for that, for continuing to embrace my comedy, what with True Internet Story, what with the shorts, the riffs, the video game confession spoof we did. I didn't know Lindsay personally for this. I asked her through Doug to have her permission to do this little bit at the end. And the idea of these bits at the end is that we're never really going to follow up on them. It's like a next time, but it's just a gag. And this is, I believe, a cousin to my stepsister Nicole. I used her picture. I needed it, It's just Lindsay's a little short, so that was my joke that, because she's short, she's a kid. Not really the case, obviously. So thanks for joining me for this commentary track for True Internet Story. I hope you learned something. Maybe you didn't, but I'm glad you joined me. And stay tuned for some rarely seen bloopers from the filming of True Internet Story number 1. And for the record, I saw people asking this. No, Doug did not actually physically touch me when he threw that punch. It was just...
Hi, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I need a tale.
He threw the hand, I went down, and we went to this. So, enjoy.
So the Nostalgia Critic... Ultimately, I decided that this witness's testimony was worthless.
What the F? Alright, so keep that to cake. That was perfect.
What the F?
Action.
It seemed like the investigation was going nowhere. Nearly derailed by an Indian. No doubt drunk on firewater from one of his many casinos.
Hey! What the F, dude? I'll fucking cut you, man.
And then realize what a failure you are.
You sound like my father.
Was that recorded?
I think some of that was on.
Okay. This is...
Meet dirt.
I'm covered in it!
All right. Damn it. So, ultimately, I decided that this witness's testimony was worthless.
What the F? You know what? Fucking heart. This.
Critic, a great man who, like President Barack Obama, was working for change.
Yeah, you better run. You better fucking run.
Action.
Trust on a total blank.